Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I wanted to talk about the recovery compass, finding direction when you feel lost. I have felt lost a lot over the past, oh my gosh, lifetime. We'll just say lifetime. From times when I was drinking and I didn't know how to stop. It started out, I didn't even know I needed to stop. I didn't know that I was sick. That's the cunning part of alcoholism, is that when we've got it, we don't even know we have it. It blinds us from being able to see that there's something really wrong with us. In stroke recovery, believe it or not, I didn't know I was having a stroke when I was having it. I was not familiar with the Be Fast acronym, but luckily my husband was or is and was able to get me to the hospital right away. And I didn't know that. I had no idea that my life was changing forever. I didn't know that when I got into sobriety either. What I have always been certain of is that I have mental health challenges and battles that sometimes days are more difficult than others, but there's always work to be done internally to be hopeful, to be a dreamer, to be inspired. And I wanted to talk about, like, what is my compass? What is the importance of having a compass that points you to your true north? The what do you use to guide you to feeling hopeful or inspired when you have this constant inner battle, similar to what I deal with. We know that recovery isn't linear. We know that regardless of what recovery you are in the midst of, sobriety, stroke recovery, vestibular recovery, it's not linear. In sobriety, I go to morning meetings. I go to every day. I go to at least one sobriety meeting, and that is one of those pieces of my compass. That's something that at least turns my body facing north. So that's a big deal for me. If I can get myself out of bed, feed my dogs, get my coffee, and log on to the meeting, then I am ahead of any potential depression that I could feel throughout the day. Like, that is opening my compass and being able to see, okay, this is the right direction for me today. And I can go to a meeting and then after the meeting have a setback, have a mental setback, meaning being a little more, frustrated with my symptoms or not sure about what I'm going to do with my day. I can also have unexpected challenges with relationships or something like that. I also have days that I'm not necessarily dealing with a setback emotionally or physically, but I'm feeling like I'm at a plateau. And sometimes a plateau can feel just as discouraging. It can feel like I'm standing still in my life and I'm not moving forward. And I've talked about that a lot over the years. standing still, feeling like when I was drinking, I felt like the whole world was passing by and I was just standing still. Um, in stroke recovery and vestibular recovery, I have dealt with both setbacks and plateaus. And right now, come to think of it, I've been dealing with a physical setback where I've been feeling pretty shitty, honestly, since the Super Bowl. I know what I need to do, and I'm not doing it. I know that I need to put on my pajamas and sit back and listen to a book. Just like I need to stop using my eyes entirely. Um, and I'm just not doing it because I don't want to. I'm retaliating. And I'm going to keep retaliating. This is how well I know myself. I'm going to keep retaliating until I can't take it anymore. And that is going to start off with a probably period of maybe an emotional collapse, probably. So why do I do that? I don't know because I'm just a glutton for punishment, I suppose. But there is like external pressures that I feel, but I believe that those are self-created still. So they can appear as external pressures, but they're really what's going on internally. I have fears, I have bad habits, I have self-doubt, and all of that leads to setbacks and plateaus in all of my dual recovery. Dual recovery is recovering from two things. What if you're recovering from three things? Try recovery? I don't know. But recovery requires energy. And I feel like currently I'm running out of steam. And that is what happens when I know I need to rest and I keep pushing forward. I wonder if that's difficult for my audience to observe as they're like, just stop, just stop. You are like, just stop, but I just keep going. Yeah, I remember when I was working, I had a friend of mine, the who happened to be the an HR person, staff member, and she was always saying, Rachel, just stop. Like, you've got to stop. You have to rest. And I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And then eventually I got to that point that day where I had to make the decision. Is my life was unmanageable. And I ended up shutting my computer, and that was the last day that I worked. And I don't know, it can get really bad, and I want to break this tendency of mine to just keep pushing harder and harder. And I'm just saying it out loud. That's all that's happening right now. I'm having some personal reflection time while you guys are listening. Um, okay, so back to the compass thing. Like, what are ways that I can create a compass for myself? Like, what are some tools to like recalibrate my compass? And one is something I discussed recently with my psychiatrist this week on Wednesday, and that is quiet time, personal reflection. It is setting aside time boxing it, sit down in my recliner right there behind me. Um, Sit down, set the timer, and just think about stuff that, whether it hurts, whether it's painful, whether it's sad, whether it's depressing, like sit down and check in with my emotions. And then the next thing is, well, before I move on, when that timer goes off, get up from where I'm sitting and do something that makes me happy, whether that is a craft or I don't know, going for a walk or something like that. So that would be some personal reflection. Another way to recalibrate my compass would be to remind myself why I'm doing all of these things. Like this this pushing myself thing gets out of hand. And I was talking to my sponsor, my psychiatrist about this. For example, this is a great example. So there's this sorry, vestibular disorder association conference going on next week. And they've opened the platform this week. So you can go on, you can start networking with people. And I have been on there every day, multiple times a day, trying to meet people, trying to find other people who have had a stroke and it has resulted in vestibular symptoms the way that I do. So there's this leaderboard, and it like rates it. You get points for how engaged you are in the platform, and then it shows like all of the people, like who's the top engaged audience or attendee, and so on. Who's second, third. Well, I have been obsessing with it so much that I am second on the leaderboard. I should not be second on the leaderboard as somebody who has a hard time looking at digital devices. Um, so if I back up and think about like, what is my purpose for going on there? I'm going on there not to be second on the leaderboard. I'm going on there to network with people and find somebody else who has had a stroke like me. Um, so I had talked to my psychiatrist about this. I wasn't going to tell her. I wasn't going to tell you people either because I'm embarrassed about it, that I shouldn't be on there that much. But that is my obsessive nature. Um, so I've told you there, I've come clean, and my psychiatrist and I talked about like maybe you can go on twice in the day, once in the morning, once in the evening. Just go on for 10 minutes or something and make yourself stop and walk away from it. It's not like there's a lot in there to see or anything, but I keep checking like I'm going to miss something. It's kind of like being obsessed with social media, like you're going to miss something. So I think what I need to do is restrict myself to once a day. So we're going to back off that a little bit more. Maybe I can drop in the leaderboard, and that would be a sign that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for my recovery. Another way to recalibrate my compass is looking at the progress that I've already made. And there are times that I feel so bad. Sorry, my nose is really itching. I am not picking my nose. I'm itching it on the outside, okay? Just so that we're clear. Um, I will start feeling so crappy that I almost feel like I've never improved. I haven't improved at all since the beginning. And when I feel crappy, I feel as crappy as I did in the beginning a year and a half ago. I will feel just as bad. But that doesn't mean that I haven't progressed. I can do a whole lot more than I used to be able to. It's just that even after making all of this progress, I still push myself too far. So I think it's great that I've made progress. I think it's great that I push myself, but I have to back off and I have to know when to do it. And I'm sure I sound like a broken record because I'm not great at it. So I have to tell myself and then as a result tell you all the time that I have to know when to say when. And if it's not working, if I keep repeating myself, I have to know when to back off, then I need to change my approach, right? If something is not working, I'm not able to back off, then I need to change something. An example is I start using voiceover and I give myself this limit where I'm not allowed to use my phone between 9 and 5 without being on voiceover or something like that. And that is my attempt to adjust the approach or adjust my routine. Another way is to talk to other people and come clean. And that's what I do with you. That's what I do with my therapist and with my sponsor. That's Team Rachel. And then finally, I need to be gentle with myself and allowing myself to struggle without judging myself, and being kind to myself when I'm maybe not meeting my own expectations. So, all of this to say that it's really, I feel like all of these tiny little adjustments are what continues to try to point me in the right direction. But how do I start walking in that direction and make progress? Like, um, I think, in my podcast all the time about adjusting my sails to go in the right direction, but it's the consistency. That is how I make progress. So the way that I feel, I walk the walk. I walk in the direction of progress where my compass is leading me, is to make sure that the actions that I'm taking on a day-to-day basis are aligned with my values. And that's something that I learned the first time around from my psychiatrist last year. We were talking about, like, what are the things that make you happy? And when I stay aligned with those values, it 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 lets me know that I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing to walk the path of happiness, meaning one of my values is to help others, to be of service to others. The more that I can do things like my crafts, I was telling her this the other day. When I do my crafts, I have a lot of enjoyment in that. But when I'm done with the craft, if I end up like I made some earrings, and the earrings are super cute, by the way. I made them from an old necklace and they're like dangly earrings. So I made these earrings and then I put them in a little baggie and I tied them up and I put them in my Etsy drawer. And when I put them in the Etsy drawer, I felt kind of deflated. Um, and I told my psychiatrist if I had instead put them in a little box and shipped them to somebody, like my mom or one of my friends or something like that, I would have had much more fulfillment. And so that is aligning what I'm doing with my core values. Um, the other thing to make sure that I'm walking the path that my compass is directing me towards is making sure that these small routines, these small habits that are non-negotiable during my day are consistent. And that's stuff like going to my sobriety meeting, that's recording my podcast, Um, and that stuff just keeps me steady while I'm walking the walk. And then constantly checking in, do I need to make some adjustments? And that requires me to sit down. That requires me to actually stop doing anything and sit down and look at my day like, am I doing stuff that makes me happy, or am I like sinking emotionally? And this is like a daily thing that I have to do. I have to check in every day, um, multiple times a day. Sometimes, like before I started recording this podcast, um, I just sat here. I was feeling a little deflated, and I just sat here thinking, like, I don't know what to talk about today. I don't even want to talk about anything today. Like, this is real stuff. This is what's going on in my mind every day. This kind of battle. And it's just hard. And it's not to be discouraging. It's that when we feel like this, like, I want to talk about it because I want to be an example that when we feel like this, like, you do it anyway. Just push record anyway. When you don't want to get out of bed, like, get out of bed anyway. And that is like all of these daily micro actions that I choose to do anyway. It creates a momentum for my entire day. Sometimes my entire day is made from these micro actions that I'm doing anyway. Those are on challenging days. On good days, it's like I get up and I have so much to do. I have too much to choose from. Other days, this I have the exact same things in front of me to do, but I don't feel like it because I'm feeling discouraged or something like that. On those days, I pretend like it's a good day and I do things anyway. And then there's days that I just have to rest. And you all know that I don't do that a lot, but I probably do it more than a normal person. Well, I definitely do it more than a normal person. I mean, I take my naps and sometimes I just lay down and close my eyes for a while and listen to a book. Um, so anyway, my challenge for you today is to identify, what do you do in those little moments throughout your day when you don't want to do what it is in front of you? What makes you do it anyway? Or do you do it anyway? Um, what what helps you regain direction? What helps you calibrate your compass when you feel like you're starting to go in the wrong direction? Like, everybody feels lost and everybody feels setbacks and lack of progress. I'm interested in hearing what does everybody else do? Because I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Because what's the alternative? Like, the alternative is to stand still, right? Um, so so that's my message for today is to think about, how do you recalibrate your compass? Do you do it on a daily basis? Do you do it on a weekly basis? Or do you tend to go off your path for weeks at a time, days at a time, before you're able to like stop and check in and be like, I gotta realign myself, as I say to my daughter, and she hates that. Oh, you gotta be real. We gotta realign you. Anyway, I've told you guys about that before. So yeah, think about that. Think about your compass today. And thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.